You're watching MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23, a free educational service provided by Circle City Broadcasting of Indianapolis. Here's what's coming up this hour. Get more information, special announcements, and weekly program schedules online at wishtv.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi, I'm Ms. Howenstein, and today we are going to be doing kindergarten math, and it will be in your home learning packet. It's number 5, but that's pages 10 to 11, so you can turn to pages 10 to 11. And we're going to do some counting today. So on pages 10 and 11, it talks about counting groups of objects. We have lots of counting strategies that we can use. So let's see, we can count out loud using our mouth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can touch and count using our finger and touching the object and counting it. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can move the objects and count them. So as we touch them, we count. As we move them, we count them. Line up and count. So if they're all jumbled up in a mess, we can line them up so that it's easier to count. Count on. So if we start at 5, we're going to go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then recount. So if we see some objects and we need to go back to the beginning, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can go back and count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So I'm going to show you on the board what your packet looks like. So you're going to be counting and writing to the number 8. So let's do an example. So on the left side of your paper, you are going to have a number, and it's going to be you're going to trace the number in your packet. Okay? And so then you're going to write the number again, like that. Yours will look a little bit different. All right, so then you have a bunch of objects. So you're going to have, let's say we have squares. I'm going to draw some squares. And then you have another group of objects that may be circles. Okay, so we're going to draw circles. All right, so if our number is 3 and we use a counting strategy that we want, so we can touch and count. So let's see, which group, the squares or the circles, have 3? So let's count. Let's count the circles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, is this number the same as the number 3? Nope, this is 4. This is 3. Let's see which group has it. 1, 2, 3. This is 3. So you are going to color the group that has the number 3, or the number that you're doing in your packet. Okay? And we leave these alone. So we counted. We used a counting strategy to help us. Now that's on page 10. On page 11, you will have some more numbers, and you are going to want to, so you'll have your number written for you that you need to trace. So let's say we do the number 5, okay? And then you are going to have some objects, just one set of objects. So let's see, I'm going to draw some, we're going to just draw circles again, okay? But there's going to be just a group. We don't know how many, so we need to count. Our number is 5, so we need to color only 5 circles. So let's see. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we want to count 5, color 5 circles. Only 5. I know you might want to color all of them, but do not. You just color the 5, okay? And so then you will do that all on your own in your packet, just like I did. And you can pick a strategy and use that strategy. Okay? So in the last problem on your paper, it shows the number 8, but you have to draw 8 objects. So you can draw 8 Legos, 8 Skittles, anything you want to draw, 8 Barbies, okay? So that is going to be for pages 10 and 11.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi, I'm Ms. Howenstein, and today we're going to be doing kindergarten math in our home learning packet, which is going to be home learning number 6, and it's pages 12 to 13. So you can go ahead and turn to those pages, and we'll get ready. So today we're going to be understanding one more, okay? So we are going to look, I have this anchor chart. It says one more. Our number gets big, so it gets bigger. Keep counting forward. Okay, so we're going to pick a number. So I really like the number 4, okay? So we're going to look at the number 4, and I'm going to put a dot on 4. Okay, so we want to make this number bigger. Oh, we're going to do number 5. So we are going to make this number bigger, okay? So I'm going to show you with some cubes so that you can see this. I have 5 cubes, okay? If we're doing the number 5, we have 5 cubes like this, and we want one more to make it bigger. So I'm going to use an orange cube to show you the one that we add on. We added 1 orange cube. Now we need to count all of the cubes that we have, okay? So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 cubes. That's one more. We can also use a number line, like here. We have 5, and we went one more, 6. So this is where we will stop, right? 6, okay? So that is how we use our number line. Now, we have our circles here. And let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the number that we showed right here. So we had 5 circles. And we did one more. So let's fill in our sentence. Blank is one more than, so we started with 5, so we're going to say 5. Okay? And then if we add one more circle like we did, let's count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6, so 6 is one more than 5. It's one more, it got bigger. Okay, so now we're going to do some examples that are like in your packet. So in your packet, you have on page 12, you have some pictures of objects. So I'm just going to draw some squares, okay? And we're going to do different numbers than your packet so that we can see how to do this. So if I have these squares, we're going to count them first. So over to the side, you'll have a blank where you put the number that you counted of your objects. So let's count. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have 3 squares. But today we're doing one more. So one more than 3, we want to do one more than 3. So what is one more than 3? So you can go back to your number line, or you're just going to know it's going to get bigger. We need to draw one more square. Let's draw one more square, okay? We drew one more square. Now let's count how many. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is one more than 3. So on page 12, that's what you're going to be working on. All right, now on page 13, it's going to look a little different. So you are going to have a dog, and it has a number in it. So I am just going to draw a square that has a number in it. So we're going to do a square that has the number 3, okay? And then you are going to see these boxes that have some numbers in them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it goes all the way to the number 10, but we're just going to go right here right now. So we have 3. So we're going to color in 3 because that's how many we start with. And then we want to do one more. Okay, one more is going to get bigger. So 1 more than 3, go here, 4. So we're going to circle what 1 more is, and that's what you will do on page 13. I hope you all are staying safe and well, and we can't wait to see you when school starts back up.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi, it's Miss Howenstein, and today I will be teaching kindergarten math, and it will be in your home learning packet, and it's number 7, which is pages 14 to 15, okay? Pages 14 to 15. So if you want to go ahead and turn to those pages, you can follow along. So we are going to be making 6 and 7, the number 6 and the number 7 today. And we are doing so with a 10 frame. Okay, so a 10 frame is able to show us that there are objects in here that we can put, and it'll help us count. Okay, it'll help us count and make numbers. So in your packet on page 14, you will see that there's a number written here, and then there's a 10 frame, and then there is a spot with 2 other blanks. And you're like, what do you do with those? So I'm going to show you what you're going to do. So we're going to practice making a different number. So we're going to practice making the number 4. Okay, so we're going to write the number 4 over here. In your packet, you'll trace the number 6. Okay, and so we are going to make the number 4. You have a circle that's colored in on the side with a blank for a number, and then you have a circle that's open. Okay, so you can pick a color, and this is going to be the top number is your circles that are going to be colored in, and then the bottom number is going to be the circles that are open. So let's make the number 4, okay? So we're going to make the number 4, and I have 2 circles in the 10 frame already. So that's 2, I have 2 of our colored in circles. So that's what you're going to write next to here. And then we need to know how many more do we need to get to 4. So how many more do we need? And our 10 frame will help us. We already have 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to add 2 open circles, and then you are going to put in how many that you added, okay? So how many open circles did you draw to get to 4? Well, we drew 2. So that is how you can make the number 4. So if we're looking at page 14, let's go ahead and look at that page, and we're going to do the first problem together. So in your packet, you have the number 6 over here to the side, and you already have 6, you already have 5 dots that are colored in. So you already have 5 of our colored in circles. Okay, but we need to figure out how can we make 6? How many more do we need? How many more do we need to make 6? We have 5, so how many more do we need to get to make 6? So let's see. If we're going to draw open circles now. So we have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we have 6, so let's see. How many open circles did we draw? We only drew 1 open circle. So that is how many we needed to make 6. So 5 and 1 makes 6. All right, that's on page 14. Now if you go to page 15, you are going to be given two numbers. So on page 15, we'll do the first one together. You have the number 4. Remember, that is going to be, the top number is how many colored in circles you have, and then the bottom number is 3. Okay, so on the left over here is our total. That's how many we have all together. So we have to figure out how many closed circles do we need to draw and how many open circles do we need to draw. So let's draw our closed circles first, our colored in circles. 1, 2, that says 4, 3, 4. Okay, so we drew 4, and then we're going to draw in our open circles because it's telling us that we need to do that. So let's draw 1, 2, that's the number 3, 3. Stop, okay? You stop right there. Now, you drew the picture. Now go over to this blank where you need to fill it in. What is our total number? So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We now have 7 circles in the tin frame. Thank you so much for working along with me today, and I hope that you learned more about tin frames and making 6 and 7. And now you'll be able to make as many numbers as you want with our tin frames. Stay healthy and stay safe.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi, I'm Ms. Howenstein, and I am going to be teaching kindergarten math today. And we are going to be doing the home learning packet. So in your home learning packet, number 8, pages 16 to 17. So if you can turn to page 16, you can follow along, and it will help you do your work in your packet. So we're going to be comparing within 10. So you're thinking, what's comparing? Well, let's see, we're going to look at some objects. We're going to look at some blocks, okay? And you may have some toys at home that you can compare. So comparing is we have a group over here and we have a group right here. So we have 2 groups, and we're going to see the difference or what's different about them. So we are going to compare and see which one has less. So most of the time you're used to which one has more. Well, we're going, in your packet, it wants you to find which one has less. So if we look, and we are going to count, and we can use a counting strategy. So I think we should use line up and count. So we're going to line our objects up and count them. So let's start with group 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we have 5 cubes that are orange. Now let's look at this other group right here. And this is going to be our second group. So we're going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're thinking probably, how do I know which one's less, which one's more? Okay, so let's look. We said our orange had 5. Okay, so our orange was 5. So orange was right here. And our blue had 6. Okay, this was our blue cubes. Our blue cubes and our orange cubes. So when you're finding less, that means the smaller amount. So if we're looking at a number line, we want to find the number that's closer to 0. The number that is closer to 0. So that's for less, okay? So let's see, 6. But 5 comes before 6. So that is going to be our smallest amount. And we can even build these to see and compare them side by side to see which one has less. Awesome. So if we compare those, you see that this one's shorter, it's smaller. So we're going to use this one as this is going to be less, okay? So let's look into your packet onto page 16. If you look on page 16, you have some objects on there, okay? So let's look at the first example. You have some squares. So I'm going to draw these squares that we have. Okay? And then you also have another group of objects, and you have circles. And you have, okay, so then we need to figure out which one is the smallest amount. So if I look at these, we are going to count. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If it helps you, you can write the number underneath the group. So this is 6. There's 6 squares. Let's count the circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8. Okay, so we have 2 numbers and we have 2 groups. So we need to see which group is the smallest. Which group is smaller? Okay, so and then over here you have, on the right side, you have 6 or 8. And it's already written in for you. But you need to figure out, so we counted 6 or 8. So which one are we going to circle? Because you're circling the number that's the smaller number. Well, we can also use our number line to figure that out. Okay, so let's look at 6. If we mark 6 here, and we'll mark 8 here, so these are our squares, these are our circles, which one is closer to the 0? Well, 6 comes before 8, so that means that's the smaller amount. And look, you can see that there's more in here, so we want the smaller amount. We want the less. So less is 6. We're going to circle our 6. So that's what you do on page 16. On page 17, you are going to continue doing that, and in our blanks on the right side, you won't have numbers. So you have to count each group, and you have to write the number and then circle the one that's the smallest, okay? Okay, so that is what you will be doing on pages 16 and 17. But what happens if I draw 2 groups and I draw some stars? Okay, I drew some stars here, and then I draw some hearts over here. Well, let's count them to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, there's 7 here. And let's count the hearts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no. I told you that we're finding the smallest amount, which one has less, but if they're the same, that's the same amount. They're different, that's stars and hearts, but they're the same amount. So we can see 7 and 7 are the same. So over here, when you write 7 or 7, so your number, yours is not going to be exactly like this, you're just going to circle both numbers. So you circle the 7 and the 7 because they are the same. Thank you so much for following along today, comparing within 10. I hope these counting strategies help you with all of your math, but especially when you're comparing groups, and that you can count things at home like stuffed animals, Barbies, Legos, any food, toys, anything you find. Rocks, you can count those and keep practicing your math. Stay healthy.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
And welcome back. It's Miss Howenstein, and I'm going to be teaching kindergarten math. And we're going to be in our home learning packet. It's number 9, pages 18 and 19. So go ahead and turn to those pages and you can follow along. Today we're going to be making 10. We're going to be making the number 10 because there's so many ways you can make the number 10. So we're going to use your packet, which uses 10 frames, and to make 10. So let's go ahead and look at our anchor chart. Using a 10 frame, I know the number, so first you know the number by looking at a 10 frame. So if we're looking at this 10 frame, we know 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's 4. That's you saying that there's 4 circles in your 10 frame. All right, number 2, I know how many are missing to make 10. So if we are looking at our anchor chart and we look at our 10 frame, we count how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you know by looking, how many do I need to fill in here to make the 10? Well, if we do that, we can fill it in. 1, 2, 3. And you said that you needed 3 to make 10. So you can tell how many are missing by using your 10 frame. Okay, number 3, I know one row is, so one row in a 10 frame is what? So let's think. If we look at our row goes straight across, so where does it stop? Right here? How many can we fit? Let's draw that and see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know that one row is 5. One row is 5. Awesome. And then I know the whole frame is, so the whole 10 frame. If our one row is 5, let's see. Let's draw that 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's one row. Let's go to our next row. Okay, so the whole frame is, well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We know that the whole frame is 10. The whole 10 frame, it equals 10. Okay? So today we are going to be using what we know about 10 frames to help us in your packet on page 18 to make 10. There's different ways, so let's go ahead and try to do that. So I'm going to give you an example. On the left side of your packet, you're going to have a 10 frame with some circles in it that are colored in, okay? So we want to figure out how many are missing, how many of the open circles are missing. So remember, just like 6 and 7, when we made 6 and 7, your colored in circles are going to be that's your top number, and that's your colored in circles. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 2. How many open circles do we need to complete the 10 frame to make 10? How many do we need? So let's see how we can do this. We just need to keep counting. So let's go. 1, 2, okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We stop there. Now we can go back and count how many open circles we were able to draw in here. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We were able to draw 8 open circles. So 2 and 8 will give us 10. That completes our 10 frame. So that will be what you're doing on page 18. Now page 19 is going to be sort of the same thing, but you are not going to be given any numbers right here. So you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to use what you know about 10 frames to fill it in. So pages 18 and 19 are the same, so they're not going to change. So all you're going to do is have to fill in the missing circles. I hope that this helped today, how you can understand a 10 frame better, and that you know that you have this anchor chart and that there are many ways to make 10. So I hope you have so much fun doing that, and you can even grab some things at home and make your own 10 frame. So I hope you have a great day and that you're staying safe and healthy.
What's going on?
I don't know.
Okay, try it now.
Yeah, that's IPS.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Good morning. I'm Miss Gordon and I'm teaching math for first grade. You'll find your math packet and it's going to be labeled week 1, and we're going to work through day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. So good morning, and let's get our brains ready. The first one for day 1 is looking at place value. And so they gave us these, numbers 7, 5, 2, 4, and 6, 3. The question's asking us to make the greatest number with these numbers. So I'm starting to think about place value, and I think about my 10s and my 1s. So if I'm making a 2-digit number, I'm going to have 10s and 1s. So then I have to think about what is the greatest value I can make. So then I have to think, what are my greatest numbers here? So I want you to take your pencil and circle your greater numbers. So Miss Gordon is going to circle 7 because I can tell 7 is the greatest out of 5, 2, 4, 6, and 3. And then my second greatest number would be 6. So good job if you circled 7 and 6. Then I have to think, with these two numbers, 7 and 6, how can I put them in order to make the greatest number? Well, if I had 6 10s, then I would have 60. But if I had 7 10s, then I would have 70. So the greatest number I can make with these numbers is 76. 76. So I have 7 10s and 6 1s, and I get 76. So then I can write my greatest value would be 76. Good. Now let's think about the lesser value. So if I want to find the least amount of value, I'm going to find the lesser numbers. So we identified 7 and 6 as our greatest numbers. So now I want you to go put a square around the numbers that are the least. So I have 5, 2, 4, and 3. Well, I know 2 is the least. So I'm going to put a square around 2. And then I know that 3 is also one of the least numbers. And so I have 2 and 3. So then again, I'm thinking about my 10s and 1s. So if I'm looking at the least, which one would I put in the 10s place to have less? So I'm going to have 2. So I would take 2 10s. Okay, so I have 2 10s. And then I would have 3 1s. And the least number that I could make is 23. Using the 10s and 1s and the place value of the numbers. So that is the first part of day 1. Okay guys, let's move on to the next part of day 1. So they're giving us numbers 0 through 9. So we have 0 through 9 written on the board. And then they're asking us to make equations that are equal, but they are also wanting us to find the greatest sum and the greatest difference that we can make with these, just using these numbers one time. So I have to think about making an addition sentence that can give me the greatest number. So if 9 is my greatest number on my number line here, I would assume that 9 would be the greatest. Would you assume yes? Okay, good. So 9 is my greatest number, so I can just go ahead and think about 9 as the greatest number. So if I know that 9 is going to be my greatest sum, I'm just going to go ahead and write 9 down here. So I've already used 9. Now what other number could I use, or what numbers can I make to give me 9? Because I know that's my sum that I want. So it's going to give me 9. So we could use, you're probably thinking 8 and 1 maybe. Okay, so we could try 8 and 1. 8 plus 1. And that's going to give me 9. So now I have to mark out 8 and 1 because I've already used those numbers. So then I have to balance the equation by finding a subtraction expression that equals 9 as well. So I found 9, and now I'm thinking, what numbers can I use to subtract to make 9 as well? So then I have, well, I still have 0 available, and if I know 9 is my greatest number, then I'm going to use 9. So I'm going to take 9 away. And then what do I subtract from 9 to get 9? 0. So then I would say 9 minus 0, draw your caret, also gives me 9. And then in the end, I'm thinking 9 is equal to 9. And so what we did is we just balanced the equation, and we got the greatest sum and difference. So good job. Going on to our last problem in day 1, they are showing us a picture of the oranges. And they're asking us to visualize how many oranges do we see. So when I look at these oranges, as a mathematician, I want to pull out sets that I see together. So I want you to take a minute and maybe go find a set that you can identify as a group. So remember that in first grade, I like to look for tens groups. So can I see a group of 10 here? I see that I have 3, and I could see 2. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 3. So I could skip count by 3s. Or I could say, where do I see a group of 5? No, I don't see a group of 5. I might see 2 groups of 4. So therefore, if I go ahead and I circle my group of 4, or my 2 groups of 4, go ahead and box in your 2 groups of 4, and how many did you find? You have 4 plus 4, and so you get 8. And so let's label it with an 8. And then I'm going to count on. So I have my 8. And then how many more oranges do we see on the outside of 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then I know that 8 plus 6 is how many all together? Count on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 8 plus 6 is 14. You could have visualized a different pattern than the 8, but the objective was that you just find a set of numbers and group them together to count on from. So good job.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
So let's go on to day 2 in our math packet. Remember, we're in the week 1 first grade math packet, and let's go to day 2. The first problem on day 2, we're going to see a word problem. And so Miss Gordon knows that when we're reading word problems, I need to visualize and really put myself into the story. And so I'm going to read the word problem to you first. Follow along with me on your paper. There were 3 apples on the table. Jan put 6 more on the table. How many apples are on the table in all? So after I read the problem, then I'm thinking to myself, okay, what do I already know about the problem? So then I'm going to go back into the story and identify those key parts. So I know that we're talking about apples. So Miss Gordon drew an apple just to remind herself. Then she's going to go find the important parts of the problem. So I have 3 apples. So Jan got 3 apples, and they were on this table. So I'm visualizing that. She's putting them on the table. Okay, great. And then she went and put 6 more. It says that she put 6 more. What is more telling the reader? How many apples are there on the table in all? So we want to find out how many all together. So I'm just going to do a quick draw. We got the table, and we have Jan. So here's our table. Just, you know how we like to do our quick draws here. There's our table. Great. And how many apples are on the table in the beginning of the story? Go ahead and say it out loud. 3. You should have said there were 3 apples in the beginning on the table. So I'll label it with my 3. And then I have 3 apples. Then what did I find out? I found out that Jan she brought, here's our Jan. And what did she do? She put 6 more on the table. So then I'm going to go ahead and put the 6 more that Jan put on the table. So she brought over 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so Jan brought 6. And now they're wanting us to solve it by answering the problem and say how many are in all. So let's write a number sentence. What is our number sentence to match the story? We have Jan who brought who had 3 apples already on the table. So we got that taken care of. There's the 3. Then she brought 6 more over. If my keyword is more, I know that we are adding it because we are putting 2 parts together to get us more and to find out how many in all. So I have 3 plus 6. And what did you find out when you added 3 plus 6? Get your quick facts in. 3 plus 6, 6. You should have got the answer 9. 9 apples in all. Use your label. 9 apples. Good job. Guys, the next part of day 2 is something that you'll have to do on your own at home because it takes 2 people. And Ms. Gordon doesn't have anyone here right now, so she can't play. But the game is guess my number. So you and a friend, or you and your brother, sister, cousin, aunt, uncle, can play together by just using numbers 1 through 10, or if you're working with someone a little bit older, is 1 through 20. And you are thinking of a number, and the person is supposed to guess the number that you're thinking of. And then after they guess, if they did not get the number, you tell them it's less than or greater than the number that they said. Okay, so those are the rules for guess my number. Okay guys, we're still working on day 2 in our math packet. So week 1, first grade, day 2. Let's go to the data analysis section on day 2. So when we're working with data, we know that we are working with graphs typically. And they have already gave us the outline of a bar graph. And so you'll read that there are the colors blue, red, and yellow at the bottom of the bar graph. They're telling us that students are selecting their favorite colors, but they can only choose out of those 3. And so they said that there's 7 students who voted for their favorite color. And guess what? Red was their most favorite. So then they're saying if red was the most popular, which we know is another word for favorite, if we know red was the most popular, how many red would have been voted for then? So I look at my number of students. I have 1 student, 2 students, or 3 students. What is the greatest amount that could vote for red? You should have said 3, because 3 is the greatest amount of students that they have on the graph. So I went ahead and had the students put their votes inside the bag. And so if I pull these out, I'm going to tally the votes that I read. So I'm going to put them in my hand. And then as I read them off, I'm going to tally what I find. So we have 1 vote for blue. We have 1 vote red. 1 vote yellow. Another for yellow. Another student voted for red. Well, we do know that red is the most popular, right? So I'm looking, it's tied with yellow though right now. Oop, but there's another vote for red. And then my last vote that they got was blue. So then in my tally chart, which you don't have the tally chart, but I like to put my data into the tally chart to double check myself. So I have 2, 3, and 2. So yep, we found out that the most that someone could vote for red would have been 3. So go ahead and draw your rectangle up to your number 3, and that represents your red. So then we know that red had 3. 3 students voted for red. So then I would say, okay, here's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 students who voted for red. Okay? Now how many students voted for blue? We can look at our tally chart and we know that was 2. So let me go up to 2. And then how many students voted for yellow? 2. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, what if I had 3 votes for blue? You would still have 7 people, but remember, red was the greatest amount of votes. So we know that 2 or that blue and yellow could not have had 3 votes. So the greatest amount, so the red had the greatest amount, so we know that 2 plus 3 plus 2 gives us how much? 2 and 3, 5 plus 2 equals 7. So we double checked that all of our students got votes, and that's how we solved our data chart.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Okay guys, let's move on to day 3 in our packet. So when we get to day 3, first grade, week 1, we are going to see that they're giving us shapes. And they're telling us that these shapes are worth a specific amount of money. And so they're giving us a square, a circle, and a triangle. Okay, square, circle, triangle. Find the square, the circle, and the triangle on your paper. Okay, then I'm picturing my parent or someone giving me 14 cents. And they're telling me to go shape shopping. So I was just picturing shape shopping. So I'm going to think of 3 different ways that I could spend 14 cents when I buy the shapes. So let's just think of the first way. The first way, I'm going to use my place value, and I'm going to decompose. So if I have 14 cents, let's break this apart into my tens and ones. So I have 1 10 worth 10. How many ones? 4. So therefore, I have 10 cents and 4 cents to give me my 14 cents here. Okay, now what shapes, think about it, what shapes can I use to make 10 and 4? So which shapes can I easily make 10 with? You should have said 2 squares. 2 squares are worth 5 cents each, and I know that 5 plus 5 is worth 10. So here's my 2 squares worth 5. Great job. Okay, now, so I have my 10 taken care of. I have 4 cents that I still need to find. Which shape can I easily make 4 with? Well, I know my 2's, so I know that if I had 2 circles, I would have 2 plus 2. And what is 2 plus 2? We know that 2 plus 2 is 4. So then we have 2 squares plus 2 circles, and we have our total of 14 cents. So this is one way you could have solved it. Your picture would be square, square, circle, circle. Great. But there has to be more ways that we can solve that one, or that we can go shape shopping, right? So let's not decompose. Let's just look at 14. I'm going to think about the facts that I know. So let's look at 14. If I know that 14, what do I know about the number 14? Do I know a doubles fact that goes with that? Do I know take that out, like this blank. The doubles fact for 14 would be what? 7 plus 7 is 14. So let's break it apart. If I'm using my doubles, which we talk about our doubles facts being very important, I know that I have 7 and 7. Now I want you to think about what shapes do I need to make 7 and 7. Okay, think about it for a minute. If you're having trouble, let's just start with one side. So the greatest amount is the square, right? So let's just take a square, and we know that the square is worth 5. Okay, so if I have 5, how many more do I need to get to 7? 5 and 2 is 7. So I'm going to use a circle. Good. So there's one side. So if this side, if a square and a circle gave me 7, then I know that I only need another square and another circle. So let me go ahead and draw that. Here's my square that's worth 5. Here's my circle that's worth 2. And so then in the end I have 7 plus 7, and I get my 14 cents that they wanted me to spend. So your pattern would be square, circle, and we would have spent all of our money. Okay, there is one last way that we'll look at, and I just want to think about maybe just using my skip counting. So maybe I could skip count by 2's. Maybe I could skip count by 1's. Could I buy 14 triangles? Sure, why not? That would give me the most shapes that I could have. So let's again start with our 14. cents. So as you mentioned, you could buy the 14 triangles, but I don't want to buy the 14 triangles because I want some more variety. I would kind of want some circles in there too. So I'm going to break it apart, and I'm going to think by just skip counting by twos. How many circles can I use on one side? So let's just think, okay, if I have 2, 4, 6. Okay, so 3 circles gives me, or I spent 6 cents. Okay, so here's my 6. Good. Then how many more do I need to get to 14? Well, I still have quite a lot of change left. But I still just kind of want to just keep with my circles. Or should I add a square? I think we could do a square. Okay, and that's worth my 5. So then I know I have 6 and 5, and that's 11. So I still have 3 more cents. Could I not buy a triangle too? Sure. Triangle's worth 1. Here we got 6 and 6, that's 12. Oh, but I need 1 more triangle. There's 1. How many more triangles do I need now? 5, 6, 7. 7 plus 6. Oh, that's only 13. 1 more triangle would give me the 14 cents. And I got the most variety over here because I have circles, squares, and triangles. But we still spent all of our money because here's the 8 cents. So 6 plus 8, 14. Good. Here we can look back at our doubles. We had 7 plus 7. And we only bought squares and circles, but that's okay. And then here we just went with 10s and our 1s, and we got 10 plus 4. But every scenario, we still spent all of our money, and we did it in different ways by breaking the numbers apart and using them in different ways. So good job. Let's quickly look at the last problem on day 3. So they're giving us shapes. And your shapes look a little bit different. They're shaded, and they have a little bit of different color characteristics, but it's all good because we can just look at the shapes and talk about them from here. When I think about shapes, I think about their attributes. Remember, these are 2D shapes. 2D shapes are flat. They have sides. They have corners, also known as vertices. They have angles, and they're either open or closed. I can tell that all these shapes are closed. Which shape does not belong? That's what they're asking. Which shape doesn't belong? So I kind of want to just start with sides. If you can already identify the shape that doesn't belong, go ahead and just circle the shape that doesn't belong. Miss Gordon can see what shape doesn't belong. So let's look at our sides. Remember when we label sides, I put the ticks. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides here. That works. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides there. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4 sides there. Good. Let's look at our last shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So which shape doesn't belong? That is correct. You should have said the pentagon. The pentagon does not belong. It has 5 sides. What is another shape that would not belong? So I would go to circle this one. And then, speaking of a circle, would a circle belong in this box? No. Would a triangle belong in this box? No. Why would a triangle not work? Because it only has what? 3 sides. Good job. Action. Okay, good morning. You guys have been doing such excellent work today. Let's look at our last problem on day 3. Math packet, first grade, week 1, day 3. And so this one, I'm going to allow you just to do this on your own, but I just want to give you a little bit of direction. So they're showing us 2 shapes. These shapes are triangles, good. And they're wanting us to think of the attributes. They're wanting us to write down how these shapes are the same and how these shapes are different. So I just want you to use check marks for how they're the same, and I want you to use X's for how they're different. You could also use smiley faces and frown faces, whatever you think matches yours, but I want you to think about those attributes that we just discussed on the last problem. Sides, corners, colors, angles, the name of the shape. So I will give you a hint. The first attribute that they share is that they have the same sides. Each of the shapes has 3 sides. So you can, as you make your T-chart, you can say 3 sides. Good, and then I want you to do the rest on your own. So how else are they the same? Think about colors. Think about how many corners they have. Remember, when you're marking your corners, I want you to go put a dot at the vertice where the two sides meet.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Today you'll need the application problem from Lesson 2 of your student workbook. If you don't have your student workbook at home, that's okay. You can use a sheet of blank paper and a pencil. Pause the video now to gather your materials. I hope that you were able to find all of the materials that you need. If not, that's okay. You can learn and watch with me. Let's read today's problem all together. Read with me. Ted has 4 boxes with 10 pencils in each box. How many pencils does he have all together? Let's read that first part again to help us make sense of Ted's problem. Ted has 4 boxes. Let's pause there and think. What might we draw? Think. I'm picturing 4 boxes. Watch me as I draw. 1 box, 2 boxes, 3 boxes, 4 boxes. Make your drawing look like mine. Pause the video if you need more time to draw. Let's keep reading. With 10 pencils in each box. Think, what might we draw now? You might be thinking, I'm picturing 10 pencils in each box. How could you draw 10 pencils in each box? Think. You might use circles, X's, stars, or other small shapes. I'm going to use tallies. Watch me as I draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now it's your turn to draw 10 objects in each of the 4 boxes. Pause the video if you need more time to draw. Now let's reread our question. How many pencils does he have all together? Think, how could you find the total number of pencils in all of those boxes? I think that we could count by tens, just like we did with Miss Lassiter. Count with me. 10, 20, 30, what comes next? 40. We see 40 pencils in Ted's boxes. Watch me as I write a number sentence to match our counting. 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 equals 40. Write that number sentence on your paper. Pause the video if you need more time to write. We figured out that Ted has 40 pencils. Watch as I write a statement to match what we did. Ted has 40 pencils.
Wow.
what's going on?
I don't know.
Okay, try it now.
Yeah, that's IPS.
You're watching MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23, a free educational service provided by Circle City Broadcasting of Indianapolis. Here's what's coming up this hour. Get more information, special announcements, and weekly program schedules online at wishtv.com. And be sure to follow us on Facebook. Here's what's coming up next.
Hey, second graders, Miss Cooks here. Before we begin, make sure you have a pencil, a paper, some extra paper, and a math packet. We are going to get started. I imagine that when you looked at this math packet, you were like, whoa, this is way different than what I'm used to. The objective of this math packet is that we want to foster independent thinking. We want to help your ability to reason and problem solve. Your teachers just wanted to challenge your ability to think critically. So I'll explain more as we continue. Let's begin with interpreting data. All I'm doing is looking at information and answering questions. So let's say I decided I want to order my second graders pizza. Before I begin ordering pizza, I need to ask some questions. I need to take a survey. I need to ask my students what kind of pizza they like. What's their favorite topping? So I said, raise your hands if you like pepperoni pizza. Do you like pepperoni pizza? Good. So I wrote down my tallies here. And remember, 5's a bundle. And then kept going. Next I asked, how many like sausage pizza? I do. How many like cheese? How many like mushrooms? Ew, ew. Miss Cook does not like mushrooms on her pizza. If you do, that's okay. So after I wrote down all my tallies, now I have some questions to ask. How many kids liked pepperoni pizza? 8. How many kids like sausage pizza? Well, there's 5, 6, 7. 7. Cheese pizza. 4. Mushroom, 3. So 3 students like mushroom pizza. So what pizza had the most votes? Pepperoni. What pizza had the least amount of votes? Mushroom. So now I have some answers to the questions that I need before I order pizza for everybody. So your job is going to be to go to week 1, day 1 of your packet and answer those questions. But before you do that, let's continue with our next section. Next, we are going to create an equation. An equation, all an equation is a math sentence. So we're going to create an equation, but first we have rules. So our rules are, you can only use the digits 1 through 7 to make an equation or a math sentence. So we're gonna do one together, and then you will work on one on your own. So I have, my rules are 1 through 7. I can use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now I can only use those numbers one time. So let me write out my equation boxes. Equals something plus something. Okay, so I'm going to start out easy, and I'm going to start on this side of the equation, on this side of the equals sign. So I'm going to say, let's do 1, 2, so let's say 12 plus, let's try 4, 5. Okay, so now I have to add it. Now I have to solve the problem, and I'm going to start at my ones. So 2 ones plus 5 ones equal 7. And then I have to add my tens. So 1 10 plus 4 tens, which is 10, plus 40 equals 50. So my answer would be 57. But wait a second. I messed up. I made a mistake. Does this equation work for me? It doesn't, because I used 5 twice. So you may get the wrong answer at first, and that's okay. Try again. So let's try a different equation. And I'm going to leave that up because I love to see my mistakes. But I want to change colors. So this time, I think I'm going to start on the equal side. And I'm going to try to build that number using all my math strategies. So let's say I use the number 67. So I'm going to look at my ones place value, and I'm going to come up with a number that makes 7. So I can use 3 plus 4. I can use 5 plus 2. I can use 6 plus 1. Those will all give me the sum of 7. So let's go over here and come up with ways to make 6 tens. So I have 5 plus 1 10 equals 6 tens. I have 4 plus 2 equals 6 tens. And then I can't use 3 plus 3 because that would be using the same number again. So which numbers would work out for you? Let's see. Let's try 5 tens plus 1 10 and 3 tens plus 4 tens. And that should give us the answer that we want. 5 tens plus 1 10, 3 tens plus 4 tens. Okay, so I used only the numbers 1 through 7, and I only used them one time. So now you try. And I encourage you to try different problems. For instance, how about try challenging yourself by using 2 digits minus 2 digits equals 2 digit plus 2 digit. And you can only use the numbers 0 to 9. Let's move on to our next part. Okay, so we are going to be working on making 0. So on your packet, you see this funny little equation here, and it asks you to place the plus or the minus in each box to make 0. Okay, so to do that, I made a number line. And Miss Cook used her craftiness, and I took some construction paper and I made me a little man to jump on my number line. So here's my number line. This looks a little different than second graders. Our second graders are used to seeing. What do you see that's different? Do you see numbers that are less than 1? So the difference is I have 1 less. So instead of me having $1, let's say I have $1, I actually owe $1 here. And then on this one, I owe $2. So I'm in debt, $2. I always think about it in money. I owe $3. I owe $4. Whew, I hope I don't owe any more money. So I'm going to start here. I've got my little man, and you guys can make a number line at home as well. All I did was just draw a line and add ticks to numbers. And I have my little number line jumper. So we're starting at 1. Our goal is to get to 0. So I have 1 here, and it's a positive 1. And I want to say, let's say I want to add 2. So I'm going to add 2, and I'm going to add 2 by jumping 2 spaces. +1, +2. Okay, so now I'm at 3. Well, I can maybe add 3. If I add 3 though, that will take me to 6 spaces, and I don't have enough room on my number line. And that's not going to get me closer to 0. So what if I subtract 3? So let's take my little number line guy and go subtract 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm at 0, but what am I going to do with this 4 here? If I add him, 1, 2, 3, 4, that puts me at 4. If I subtract him, I owe $4. So that didn't work for us. Let's try a different way. What if I start at 1, move your little man to 1, and I subtract 2. So I'm going to jump back 2 spaces. 1, 2. So I'm in -1. Or I owe somebody $1. Okay. Now, I've subtracted here. What if, should I jump forward 3 spaces? Or should I jump back 3 spaces? What do you think? I agree. Let's move back. 1, 2, 3. So that puts me at 4. Should I subtract a 4? Or should I add 4? What do you think? Let's try adding 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm there. Look at that. That was super easy. So your job is to try it as well. Try different ways. And it's okay if you make mistakes. And there's also a challenge problem for you there as well. All right, I will see you soon. Thanks.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hello everyone, I'm Miss Cook. We are going to get started with our 2nd grade packet, Home Learning 2.0. So go ahead and grab your pencil, grab some extra paper, and your math packet. We are going to get started with a story problem. And this story problem, we're going to do some trading. So Kevin has earned 10 stickers for reading books. He can trade those stickers in for items in the classroom. So think about when you guys go to Chuck E. Cheese and you get all those tickets, you can go in and you can earn prizes with those tickets. So let's see what we can get. So we can get a bookmark for 1 sticker. We can get an eraser for 2 stickers, a pencil for 3 stickers, a notepad for 4 stickers. Okay, so let's say Kevin, he goes in, he says, I'm just gonna get 10 bookmarks. That's 10 stickers, that's all I need. Well, that was easy. I did my math, I'm done, right? Who wants 10 bookmarks? Kevin's like, I only read 1 book at a time. I only need 1 bookmark. So let's say Kevin decides to trade in for 1 bookmark. We just want 1. And I'm going to put a little tally there. And then I'm gonna buy erasers with the rest. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. So I can get 4 erasers. 4, there we go. Math is done, I have 1 left over. All right, Kevin says, I don't want 4 erasers. So your job is to come up with another way to spin your stickers using these options. So in our packet, there's some puzzles in there. So Ms. Cook made you a puzzle that we're gonna do together. So what is the same and what is the different? What is different? You're going to look at these pictures. We have this side here, here, and you are going to make a chart. So grab your extra sheet of paper and just make a T-chart, just like this. And I'm gonna write S for same and D for different. And I'm just gonna write some things down that I see are the same and are different. So what is something that you see is the same in both pictures? Well, they are both squares. Sorry. And what else? It looks like we have 8 squares on both pictures, so I can just write 8. Now let's look at some 4 things that are different. The color, so one different color. So I'm just gonna write color. What else is different? It looks like to me I have 2 groups of 4 here, and I have 4 groups of 2. So there's different groups. So I'm just gonna write groups. Can you come up with some differences and some similarities as well? Okay. All right, great job, guys. Next, we're going to have Mr. Step come in and we're going to play a game. Okay, so Mr. Snap is here and he's came to join us to learn how to play a game. The game is called Play 21. So the way it works is one player will start out and they can say up to 3 numbers, sequential order. What does that mean? That means I have to say it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and so on. Okay. Now I can say 1 number, I can say 2, or I can say 3. The person who wins is the person who gets to 21 first. So, ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
4.
5, 6.
7.
8, 9.
10, 11, 12.
13, 14, 15.
16, 17.
18, 19.
20.
21. I win! Woohoo!
I misunderstood the directions. I tried to outsmart myself.
All right, I hope you guys enjoy that game. You can play with more than 1 player. You can try different variations. Come up with your own game. All right, I will see you next time. Be safe and see you soon.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hello, 2nd graders. Ms. Cook is here. We are going to work through our packet week 1, day 3. So go ahead and grab a sheet of paper, grab your packet and a pencil. So let's go ahead and look at the first problem. The first problem are number lines, and you're filling in the missing. So I have some examples for us, and I have a number line here. And I'm missing numbers. So let's try and find the pattern. So this first one, here's my number line, and I have my number line jumper. So we have 7, 8, 9, something's missing, 12. Something's missing, something's missing. Well, the first 3 numbers, I'm only counting up by ones. So I'm guessing if I say 9, 10, 11, 12, yes, I'm only counting up by ones. So I'm just gonna fill in my missing number here, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we said this missing number is 11, 12, 13, 14. Well, that was way too easy for second graders. So let's move on and see if we can have a little bit more of a challenge. So I'm going to take my line jumper guy and put him down here to this second one. Let's try this one. So I have 2, 4, something's missing. 8, 10, something's missing. Something's missing. 16, 18. Well, it looks like to me, I'm just skip counting by 2s. So what are my missing numbers? 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Well, that was easy. Let's move down to the very last one. And already I can see the pattern. I know that these are multiples of 5, or I'm skip counting by 5. And the reason why I know that is because I see the 5, 10, and I bet you this one is 15. But let's check first. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Does that make sense? Yeah. So let's go ahead and put in our missing numbers. 35 and 40. All right, fantastic job, guys. You will be doing the ones in your packet. So before you get started, let's move on to the next section. The next section is a puzzle. So you have something similar in your packet like this. We are looking at which shape does not belong. So look at the shapes. So which shape does not belong? So we have the square, the circle, the cube, and the pentagon shape. So looking at these, can you decide which one would not belong? Well, I could say the circle doesn't belong because it's the only one without sides. Or I could even say this one doesn't belong because it doesn't have any color. So as long as you have a reasonable explanation to go along why it doesn't belong, then any answer can be right. So your job is to look at the picture in your packet and come up with different explanations on why this shape doesn't belong or why that shape doesn't belong. Our final piece of our packet for day 3 is to make 47 cents 3 different ways. So my suggestion is to grab some coins and play around with those coins. So I will help you get started. It's supposed to be like that. So I will help you get started. So quarters are worth 25 cents, dimes are worth 10, nickels are worth 5 cents, and pennies are worth 1 cent. And I want to make 47 cents 3 different ways. So I decided to help you out. So I made 47 cents with 47 pennies. Done. That was easy. Well, that's a lot of change for me to carry around in my pocket. So I'm going to try to find an easier way using less coins. So I thought I would try let's see, start with nickels. So I'm just going to count by fives up to 47 cents. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. I'm not there yet. 46, 47. That's still a lot of change. So your job is to come up with 3 different ways using change, using quarters, nickels, dimes, and pennies to make 47 cents. All right, and that's all for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Just know that we miss you, and we will see you soon.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Good morning. My name is Todd Hawks. I am Learning Community Director for our KA and Innovation Schools. Today we're going to be looking at the 2nd grade SEL Remote Learning Packet, and this is 2nd grade Lesson 11. This morning we're going to focus on our body and getting clues about how we are feeling. This can help us to manage strong feelings and keep our brains in control during tough situations. Now, this is Tiana. Tiana's friend just told her that her shirt is on backwards, and Tiana realized that it's been like that all day long. Tiana just wants to hide. She's starting to wonder if other people have noticed. Now think about a time that you have felt really embarrassed. Think about what's been happening in your body. Did your face feel hot? Was your heart racing? Maybe your palms were sweaty. Maybe you were a little sick to your stomach, or you had wobbly knees. When we have strong feelings, it's hard for our brains to think. Now, imagine that your hand is your brain. Your thumb is the limbic system, which is the feeling part of the brain, and your fingers are the prefrontal cortex, which is the thinking part of the brain. Now, when you have really strong emotions, it's like you flip your lid and the feeling part is all exposed. Now think about Tiana's brain and pretend that your hand is her brain. The feeling part is overflowing with embarrassment, which is causing her to flip the top. She needs to focus her attention on her body and get clues about how she's feeling. This will help her know if she is about to lose control. When she starts to recognize how she's feeling, she's using the thinking part of her brain to manage her feelings. In the next couple of lessons, you're going to learn some strategies to help calm down when you're experiencing strong emotions. I'm going to talk to you about a couple today. The first thing that you can do is you can engage in some self-talk. You can say to yourself, I need to stay calm right now. I feel really embarrassed, and recognize that that's what you're feeling. Another thing that we can do is we can do some deep belly breathing, and I'm going to show you how you can do some belly breathing to calm down. So you get in a comfortable position, you relax all of your muscles, put one hand on your belly. You're going to breathe in and fill up your belly like a balloon. So you're going to breathe in for 3 counts. And then you're going to let it out for 5 counts. When you breathe out, you're going to imagine all of those strong feelings leaving your body, and you'll begin to calm down. So let's try it one time together. In for 3, and out for 5. When you feel a really strong feeling, try this to help yourself calm down. For more resources on social and emotional learning, make sure you visit the IPS website. Click on Families, and there will be activities for you to do at home and to help with social emotional learning in the remote learning setting.
This is MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23. Here's what's coming up next.
Hi, third graders, and welcome to Grade 3, Module 5, Lesson 2. My name is Miss Roos, and I worked in Pasco County Schools in Florida for 9 years. My favorite subject to teach was always math, so now I work with Great Minds. And while we're out of school, Great Minds is doing everything we can to support building knowledge on the go. Make sure you tell your teacher that you're a part of this program so they know you're still learning. Let's go ahead and get started. Here are some of the materials that you're going to need for our lesson today. First, you're going to need paper cut into 5 strips, something like this. It doesn't matter what the strips look like as long as they're the same size. You're going to need a pencil and your Lesson 2 problem set. If you didn't bring your book home, don't worry. Look where you found the videos and you'll see access to these pages right there. Go ahead now and pause the video so that you can gather your supplies and press play when you're ready to continue learning. Welcome back. I hope you were able to find your supplies. If not, don't worry. You can just watch me and we can learn along together. So here are my 5 strips that I made of paper. See how they're not perfect, but they're all about the same, they're the same length, right? That's going to be very important later. Let's go ahead and take 4 of them away and just focus on 1 to start. I'm going to ask you to fold this strip like this. And before we open it up, I want you to think, how many equal parts did I just make? Go ahead and say it. Let's see if you're right. I see 2 equal parts. What fraction of the whole is one of our equal parts? Maybe you remember that there are 2 equal parts, and the fractional unit for that is called a half. So 1 equal part would be 1/2. So that means this is also 1/2. Okay. So now using this 1/2, we're going to answer some questions. First, I want you to read the statement in your head, and then we'll go through them together. Ready? Read it in your head. Let's say it out loud together. There are 2 equal parts in all. Let's look at the next statement. Let's read it out loud. 1 equal part is called 1/2. Okay, let's take another one of our fraction strips. This time, we're going to fold it in half. And then we're going to fold it again. Pretend you have a classmate near you, and I want you to whisper how many equal parts you think we made now. Let's see if you're right. Let's open up our strip, and let's take our pencil and draw on those folded lines. How many equal parts do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. If our fractional unit for 2 equal parts was called a half, think to yourself if you remember what our fractional unit for 4 equal parts is called. Think first. fourths. So we have 1/4. And then we have another copy of 1/4. And another copy of 1/4. And another copy of 1/4. There's our fraction strip for fourths. Okay, let's answer our statements again. Think in your head first. Read it in your head first. Okay, let's say it out loud. There are 4 equal parts in all. Let's read this next statement in our head. Let's read it out loud. 1 equal part is called 1/4. Take another one of your fraction strips. Okay, we're going to fold it in half. In fourths. And then we're going to fold it one more time. Pieces get very little as you keep folding. Okay. I wonder how many pieces we have now. Whisper to your imaginary classmate how many pieces you think we have now. Let's see. Okay. 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines, 7 lines. I have 7 lines, but I wonder how many equal pieces I have. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 equal pieces, but I only drew 7 lines. Okay, so if I have 8 equal pieces, what is 1 part? What fractional unit is 1 part of my whole? 1/8. Let's see if I can squeeze that on this tiny piece. Did it. 1/8. And another copy of 1/8. And another copy. I'm noticing something about the names of these fractional units. Almost done. I'm noticing that it looks very much like the whole number. Here's the word 8 inside of eighths. That's really helpful for me to remember what each fractional piece is called. Let's do our sentence stems with our eighths. Okay, here we go. Read it in your head first. Let's read it out loud. There are 8 equal parts in all. Let's look at our next sentence. Read it in your head first. Okay, here we go. 1 equal part is called 1/8. We're starting quite a collection of fraction strips here. Let's do another one. This one gets a little tricky. This time you're going to take your strip and you're going to make an S. And then you're going to bring the pieces together and make sure they're lined up before you push them together to fold them. There we go. Wonder how many equal pieces we made using that S. Whisper to your imaginary classmate. Let's open up and see. I only drew 2 lines this time. But how many pieces do I have? 1, 2, 3 equal pieces. I need to remember that when I'm drawing my own fraction strips or drawing my own fractions on a rectangle or a circle, maybe later on. Okay, so if these are 3 equal pieces in our whole, what is one of our pieces called? Think to yourself first. Okay, say it. 1/3. Let's write that. 1/3. And let's write it on the other 2 copies as well. Okay, let's look at our sentence stems for our thirds now. Okay, think it in your head first. Let's read it aloud together. There are 3 equal parts in all. Let's do our next sentence. Okay, here we go. 1 equal part is called 1/3. Okay, our last fraction strip for today. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to make that S shape, trying to get them even before we fold. It's always a little tricky for me. There we go. Now, we know we've made thirds. Let's fold it one more time. Noticing a pattern. I remember when we folded in half and then in fourths, and we folded one more time, we got a number that was related somehow to 4. Let's see if you can predict how many we're going to have this time. We started with thirds. We made one more fold. Let's see if you're right. We'll draw our lines on the folds. I was counting when I was drawing my lines and I noticed I drew 5 lines. So if I'm thinking about the pattern that we saw earlier, I have a prediction how many pieces there are. Let's see if my prediction's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so if there are 6 equal pieces, what is one of the pieces called if we use our fractional units? Maybe you thought, well, 1/8 was earlier, and that's when we had 8 equal pieces. So if we have 6 equal pieces, maybe this is 1/6. Let's go ahead and write 1/6 on each of our pieces. These pieces aren't as little, so it's not as hard to write on. And then last 1/6. Okay, let's look at our sentence stems using our sixths. Okay, read it in your head first. Ready? Let's read it together. There are 6 equal parts in all. Let's move down to our next sentence. Read it in your head first. Okay, here we go. 1 equal part is called 1/6. Let's look at all of our fraction strips that we made today. And now we're going to play a little game using fraction stories. So make sure you have your fraction strips for our stories. Lay all your fraction strips out on your table. If you have not finished writing in all of the pieces of your fraction strips, that's okay. Go ahead and pause the video and complete that now. Okay, here's how this activity is going to work. I'm going to put a situation up on the screen. I'm going to read the situation aloud. Then you're going to look at your fraction strips and decide which fraction strip matches the situation that I have on the screen. When you think you have it, take the fraction strip and hold it up, and then I will put the answer on the screen. Ready? Here we go. Which fraction strip shows cutting your pasta into 4 equal pieces? So pretend your fraction strips are pasta and pick the one that matches, cutting it into 4 equal pieces. Take it and hold it in your hand. Fourths. You should have picked up your fourths fraction strip, because if I'm cutting my pasta into 4 equal pieces, I'm cutting it into fourths. Okay, put your fraction strip back on the table and let's try another one. This time we're going to pretend that your fraction strips are apples. Which fraction strip shows cutting an apple into 6 equal pieces? Let's see. Sixths. If I cut my apple into 6 equal pieces, I'm cutting it into sixths. Okay, let's try one more. This time, pretend your fraction strips are candy bars. Which fraction strip shows sharing a candy bar fairly with one person? Let's see if the fraction strip in your hand matches the one on the screen. Half. if I'm sharing a candy bar fairly with one other person, I get half and they get half. Let's try one more, still with candy bars. Which fraction strip shows sharing a candy bar fairly with two other people? Let's see. Thirds. If I'm sharing with two other people, I'm going to break it into 3 equal parts. One for me, one for them, and one for the other person. So that would be breaking it into thirds. Great job with our lesson. We're going to move on to our problem set now. Our must-do problems are number 2, 3, and 4A. So take your pencil and circle number 2, 3, and number 4, part A. Set a timer or watch the clock for 10 minutes. Try to complete those 3 problems in the 10 minutes. If you still have time once you've completed those 3 problems, you can go back and do the other problems not on the list, as long as you do it for 10 minutes. Go ahead and press pause and make sure that you try your very best on our problem set today. Good job working so hard on our problem set. We're going to check our answers now. Check your answers with the answers on the screen. Press pause so you can make sure that you check all of your answers. We're going to zoom in now on problem number 2. So you can use your problem number 2 on your problem set, or you can look at the one on the screen. But either way, I want you to think about and answer the following question out loud. If the size of the whole stays the same, what happens as you partition it into more and more parts? Maybe you were thinking about how when we were folding it, when we folded it into eighths, remember how tiny the pieces were? When we folded it into 6, the pieces weren't quite as tiny, but they were still smaller. So maybe you noticed that as we fold or partition, cut the pieces get smaller. So let's look at A. In problem 2A, there are 4 equal parts. Look at the size of those 4 equal parts. Then take a look at 2B. Look at the 6 equal parts. We have more parts, and as we have more parts, they're smaller in size. Look at C and D, which have 7 equal parts, and they're just a little bit smaller than the 6 equal parts above. Let's think about one more question. What is the relationship between halves and eighths? When I look at halves, 1/2, I see that about 4/8 can go inside of it. I think also back to when we were folding again. We folded in half, then we folded again, which made fourths, and then we folded again and made eighths. Maybe you were thinking that same thing too. If your teacher has asked you to complete your exit ticket, please pause the video and complete your exit ticket now. Well, that's it for today. I'm Mrs. Roos, and don't forget to let your teacher know that you're still working hard. Also, save the strips we made today for our lesson tomorrow. Hope to see you then. Bye!
All right, here's our application problem for the day. Anu needs to cut a piece of paper into 6 equal parts. Draw at least 3 pictures to show how Anu can cut her paper so that all the parts are equal. We need to draw a piece of paper. So on our piece of paper, let's go ahead and draw. And we need to cut it into 6 equal parts, which is something that Mrs. Roos has been talking to you about in the last 2 lessons. Now you're going to draw at least 3 pictures to show how Anu can cut her paper so that all the parts are equal. So I want you to pause your video and I want you to draw as many pictures as you can to show how Anu can cut her paper so that all of the parts are equal. While you were drawing, I was drawing too. I was drawing as many ways as I could think of to show how Anu could cut the paper so that all of the parts are equal. Did I partition this piece of paper into 6 equal parts? Let's first count our parts. 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts, 5 parts, 6 parts. Yes. And are they equal in size, or at least as close as possible? We're humans and we do our best to partition things into equal parts, and sometimes they work out the way we want them to. Other times they're a little bit off. Does this one look like all of the parts are intended to be equal? They do. Let's take a look at this one. This one I partitioned horizontally rather than vertically. Let's see if this is 6 equal parts. 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts, 5 parts, 6 parts. Do they look pretty much equal? They do. Okay. Let's take a look over here. Is this partitioned into 6 equal parts? So for this one, you can see I partitioned it vertically in half. And then I made 2 more partitions here so that I have 3 pieces here and 3 pieces here, making 6 equal parts. This one's very similar. I just did it the opposite way. I cut it in half this way. And then I partitioned 2 more partitions to make 3 pieces up here and 3 pieces up here. Are these equal pieces? Are these equal parts? They are. Let's take a look at this one. Is this one partitioned into 3 equal parts? If you're saying or thinking no, you are correct.
You've been watching MyIPS on MyINDY-TV 23, a free educational service provided by Circle City Broadcasting of Indianapolis. MyIPS airs weekday mornings from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. For more information, special announcements, and the weekly program schedule, go to wishtv.com. You can also follow us on Facebook.
I think I need to call in sick.
Why? What's wrong?
My throat is sore, dizzy, runny nose.
It sounds like nasopharyngitis.
More than a dozen surprisingly specialized education models to choose from. Explore them all online. Yeah, that's IPS.
What's going on?
I don't know.
Okay, try it now.
Yeah, that's IPS.